Hey guys, what's up? This is GaLm, and welcome to my video on the Destiny 2 gameplay reveal. I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on the actual reveal itself, the presentation that they gave, and all the information that they gave us, as well as give you guys my impressions from my hands-on time with the game, because I was actually there at the event. Bungie flew me out, paid for my flight and my hotel all the way to Los Angeles. They did the same for a lot of people, so I'm not a super special snowflake, but it was a cool, unique experience. I've never gone to a press event in this kind of manner before, so it was unique. But yep, we're gonna be talking about everything Destiny 2 in this video, and I'm excited. Now, I'm gonna be pretty biased. I'm giving you guys that warning ahead of time. I'm gonna be pretty biased, not only because, you know, Bungie flew me out to the event, and also gave me copies of Destiny 1 over the course of Destiny's general release, but I also just enjoyed Destiny 1. I really, really did. It was... Even when it was on release, I thought the story was shit, but I enjoyed the gameplay and the feeling from the gameplay loop, the way that everything connected together. I thought that stuff was great. The shooting is great for Destiny 1. The story was meh. The loot system took a while to get there, but eventually it kind of kicked ass, and even the story eventually got to being a lot better. With the Taken King and Rise of Iron. But yeah, no, I enjoyed Destiny 1. Destiny 1 gave me some of the best gaming experiences that I've ever had, especially with the raids, which is funny because I was actually sitting in the audience with one of my raid buddies, Activision Fufu, and he pretty much was there for all of the first times I went through the raid, which is also the first times he went through the raid. So that was cool. So we're just two Destiny fans sitting in the audience, having a good time, just cheering at almost everything that they showed off. And so I guess that kind of allows me to segue into talking about the presentation. So in regards to the presentation, I'm actually, it made me pretty happy. All I really wanted from Destiny 2 was Destiny 1, but better in very key areas. I wanted there to be a more engaging story. I wanted there to be more stuff to do in the world itself, and that was really kind of it. A lot of the stuff that Destiny 1 had problems with was fixed towards the end of Destiny 1, so I already had the expectation. I'm like, okay, you can't fuck that up again because you learned your lessons, right? That's the hope. That's the dream for humanity, that we learn from our mistakes, and Destiny 1 showed that I think they did. So yeah, my expectations for Destiny 2 was have a more engaging story, have a more engaging world, and they nailed that. They nailed a whole ton of things, even things I didn't really fully consider or think about. So as kind of a quick rundown of the things that they showed and talked about, they definitely said that they were going to be trying to have a more cinematic and engaging story, which I think is kind of shown to be true. The first campaign mission that they showed in the gameplay reveal and that they actually allowed us to play definitely had a lot more going on in it than most of Destiny 1. It felt like the direction that they were going in the Taken King in Rise of Iron, where now we're actually getting to interact with the other Guardian leaders and have them actually do stuff in the campaign. And actually, even in this mission, which actually, this was something I was really excited about, Zavala and Ikora actually show up in the mission itself. And actually even display their powers. Zavala especially puts up a Guardian bubble around you. Hey, that's awesome! We didn't get any interactions with NPCs in the world. And speaking of interactions with NPCs in the world, in the patrol that they showed off, or they didn't show fully the patrol, but they showed off that in patrols we're going to be getting a hell of a lot more things to find in the world as we explore it. We have NPCs that we can interact with that will give us our various missions and adventures. We have lost sectors, which are what they described as kind of just areas that you can find that will give you, there'll be a boss in there and you can get various loots. I don't know if it's gonna be like a procedurally generated thing, like, oh well, here's this random boss in this random cave, but that's something that we'll have to investigate for ourselves. And then they also kind of advanced the general notion of patrol itself. In Destiny 1, you had various patrol events, which are just kind of random things that would happen in the world, and it'd be like, oh shit, look, a giant Destiny 1 walker, a giant Fallen Walker has landed in the field and you're gonna have to try and take that out. Well, now, because of what they're showing off, you can actually see that popping up on the map, and you can head over there, which means that you can engage with it a lot more often without having to use third-party sites. which is something you had to do a lot with Destiny 1. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit too. Another thing they showed off was that, well, hey, now you can actually go to the various worlds without having to go to orbit, which for most people who didn't play Destiny 1, you're like, yeah, okay, I guess. But for a lot of us in Destiny 1, that's such a big quality of life thing. Oh my god, having to go all the way to orbit was... it was an alright experience because of the fact that seeing your ship in orbit was kind of like a relaxing thing, because you could see, you know, oh, there's Earth behind my ship, oh, there's Venus behind my ship, oh, there's Mercury behind my ship. That was kind of cool. But yeah, no, sometimes I just wanted to go from the place I was on Earth to the fucking tower immediately, or to other areas, and without having a lot of in-between stuff. And so it definitely shows that they're trying to do a lot of quality of life things. We didn't get a full detail. They didn't really talk about, like, vault space. Are we gonna have unlimited vault space in this game? That would be great. Please do encourage my hoarding tendencies a hell of a lot more than in the original Destiny. Destiny 1 had, like, tiny vaults at the beginning. Now you can have, like, a ton of shit, but... Whew, god, that was rough. Besides that, though, other information that they gave us, they showed off that they changed the weapon system in terms of the things that you can generally equip. Also, obviously, they showed off the classes, the new classes that actually look pretty cool, and we actually got a chance to try out the Dawnblade Warlock, which was awesome. But yeah, backing up, the weapon system, rather than primary, secondary, and heavy weapon, it is now kinetic energy power. So what that's going to allow us to do is kind of adjust our loadout to be a little bit more powerful overall, I think, because now you can have like 2 primary weapons equipped. You can have a scout rifle and a scout rifle, or hand cannon and a hand cannon, or a scout rifle and a hand cannon, and then a sniper, shotgun, or rocket launcher in the power weapon slot. And I'm hoping that also means that the power weapons are going to be a little bit more... I'm hoping that it'll be harder, or they'll do more damage, is, I guess, the overall thing. I want them to be more special. They're going to be dedicated to the heavy weapon slot, and they're going to be replacing our rocket launchers, potentially, then the shotgun needs to make up for it massively, right? It also has me a little bit on the excited side, because that means people won't be running around with shotguns nearly as much in multiplayer, even though I didn't really play too much of Destiny 1's multiplayer. Holy hell. People running around with shotguns and sniper rifles all the time. It was rough, and I'll talk maybe more about that in a bit. But yeah, that's pretty much most of the stuff that I had like a direct interest in. Other things that they talked about, which was pretty cool, they're introducing a guide system to the game, which means that if you're a solo player, and you're trying to engage in the stuff that doesn't have matchmaking, well, now they've actually added matchmaking to it, and they've done it in a way that won't be super terribly annoying. Rather than just getting matched up with random people who, you know, everyone's by themselves, you can actually get matched up with clans who are purposely trying to guide people around. And that sounds cool. I'm sure it's got some potential for abuse, but you know what? That means you can kind of, you know, if a clan fucks you over, maybe you can give them a Yelp review and just, like, give them a negative rating and be like, these guys were trolls and they just led me to my death for 3 hours straight. But it sounds cool because, you know, one of the problems in Destiny 1 was if you were a solo player who didn't have, like, you know, just like a backlog of friends to do absolutely everything with, or maybe you had like an offhand schedule, like, oh, hey, I work the night shift, I'm only awake at 5 a.m. in the morning. You can now use the guided clan system in order to engage with clans, and maybe even, like, if you enjoy playing with those people, join their clan, which is great because now clans are also more focused in game and can give the clans general rewards. They didn't show exactly what those rewards could be, but the fact that you can get overall rewards for everybody in your clan is great in general, and should encourage that a little bit more, especially since now you can actually join and maintain your clan in-game, whereas beforehand you had to kind of do it from the Bungie site, which was silly. You shouldn't have to go to a website in order to engage with parts of or core part of the game. And on that note, they didn't say this during the presentation, but I have found out, or general rumors or things that they talked about, the Grimoire cards. For people who play Destiny 1, the Grimoire cards are no longer going to be a thing that you have to go to the website for. I don't know if there are Grimoire cards in Destiny 2, or if they're just making it so you can look at every bit of lore inside the game itself. There was a dedicated lore button that I didn't really try to use, because I didn't know it existed until after the event. But yeah, no, it's good that we're gonna actually get more stuff about the game in the game itself. That should have been a no-brainer for Destiny 1, but it, you know, some stuff just kind of escaped that thought process. Another thing that I had kind of a neutral response to was the announcement that Destiny 2 was going to be exclusive to the Battlenet or the Blizzard app on PC. I think that it probably would have been better for it to be on Steam, because that just gives it a bigger audience. Because I'm sure there's gonna be tons of people who are like, I only use Steam, I don't want to use Blizzard's app. But for me, because I already use Blizzard's app for Overwatch and all of the other Blizzard games, that's kind of like, yeah, all right, I'll play it. I'll play it on there's no other choice. But yeah, it would have been, it's neutral. I see the pros and cons of everything for it to be exclusive to the Battlenet/Blizzard app. And you know what? Hey, you know, that means I can use some features and be bothered by people who are playing Overwatch who are like, ah, come play competitive in Overwatch. And I'll be in Destiny 2 just be like, no, I'm trying to save the world in my own way, okay? God, I'm a guardian, gosh. So that's pretty much it for most of the stuff that they showed off in the presentation. At least in terms of a way of like trying to list all the stuff that we got. They showed off the classes. Which actually, you know, I guess, yeah, classes have been slightly changed. Obviously, we're gonna get new subclasses with new abilities, but the biggest thing was the class ability. In Destiny 1, your character had grenades, melee, and super. In this game, you have grenades, melee, class ability, and super, which means now every character has an extra thing that they can do, which adds complexity to the general flow of gameplay. Like with the Titan, you can now put down, or with the Striker Titan, you can now put down a shield, and you can even change what kind of shield you want it. So if you want like a short shield that you can get behind, because it also you can reload your gun instantly if you get behind it, you can do that. Or you can put a big giant shield, which will block everything and even prevent people from walking through it. And you can't shoot through the shield, so it's not like a one-way advantage kind of thing. But you get cool things like that, or like with the Warlock, the Dawnblade Warlock had a choice between empowered circles or healing circles. So you could either do more damage while you're standing on the circle, or you could heal the damage that's coming towards you while you're in the circle. And the healing circle, I didn't get a full chance to try it out in multiplayer, but I can imagine that would be super beneficial, especially in the countdown game mode that they showed off, that we had a chance to play there, which is kind of like search and destroy, and you have like one life, you can get revived. But yeah, no, obviously in the middle of those kinds of situations, it'd be good to get some extra health while you're taking a ton of fire from enemies. But classes haven't changed too dramatically, but I think they've been tweaked enough that they're pretty cool. Even like the Striker and the Gunslinger class, which were the classes that we had a chance to actually play during the event. For the strikes and PvP and the campaign mission, I guess. I played the Warlock during the campaign mission, but yeah, you pretty much do all the classes there, or the base classes and some of the subclasses. But Striker, Titan, now when you slam down and do the attack, that's not it. You can actually continue running off and destroying people or the enemies. With the Gunslinger, instead of just 3 shots, you now have like up to like 5 or 6, and it also can shoot a lot faster. So you have a lot of little adjustments there as well. So all that really has me hyped up and excited. Which brings me to our next segue, gameplay impressions. I actually did have a chance to play the game directly a good few times. And the first thing that I want to talk about is obviously the PC version. How does the PC version feel? Well, at this point you've probably heard, but if you haven't, holy crap, it feels good. It is excellent. It doesn't even feel like a port. It feels like Destiny belonged on PC the entire time, because it was running at 4K 60 FPS, and while they didn't have FOV changing yet, they did say that there was going to be FOV sliders in the future. So they nailed down all the bare minimums that you need for the PC, being able to run at a high resolution at a really consistent frame rate, and having a lot of options. You could even change your key bindings while you were there, to the point that they were like, okay, we're gonna need to reset key bindings between every single match, just in case somebody messed with something. I think the only weird thing about the PC version was just the key bindings, honestly. If you're thinking about them in the lens of a traditional PC shooter, the controls are weird. Obviously, you know, WASD, shooting with the mouse, that stuff is normal, but like, using your grenade is Q, using your melee is E, and using your class ability was V. Accessing your character and your inventory was F1. That's odd. You also couldn't press escape to access your settings. You had to go through your character menu and then go to settings. So you had to press F1, then go to settings. That stuff is weird. It's not a huge detractor, because once you learn the buttons, you know what they are. And it helped that I've played a ton of Overwatch, because as soon as I just started thinking of it like I was playing Overwatch, using my ult and my E and all that stuff, it was a little bit better to use. Also, I think the super was F, so Q, E, F, V. Those are the main buttons that we had to use for general combat. Took a bit of getting used to, especially because my first match was a PvP match, and my sensitivity was way too high, because I've been playing at a lower DPI and lower sensitivity at home. So when I was at the event, oh my god, my first match, I was just going all over the place. And that brings me to one of the points that I was kind of worried about in terms of the translation of Destiny 2 PC. When I played the original Destiny, I always had kind of like an inkling in the back of my head. I'm like, would I suck at Destiny on PC? Would that even feel any good? Because it was the same thing I have with Halo. I'm decent at Halo. I can probably say that I'm above average at Halo, and on PC, it doesn't feel that way. It translated. Halo 2 translated really weird to PC. Halo 5 PC translated weird to PC, and the controls just, they're odd when you get rid of some of the crutches that you kind of ignore. There's always that tiny tinge of aim assist where suddenly you're a god because you pointed at their general direction and had it round their hitbox. And I was like, am I gonna be able to do anything with that? And in that first match, there was definitely like, oh god, I'm terrible at this, because there was no fucking aim assist. So I'm like all over the damn place because my sensitivity is like 5 times higher than what I'm used to. But as soon as I lowered my sensitivity down and I was getting used to the controls, I was nailing things down, man. When I played the strike mission, on my first attempt at the strike mission, got over 176 kills and just mowed things down. I think I even took a picture of the amount of kills that I got. And I'll just throw it on screen. I was about to try and look at it on my phone, but yeah, no. It translates well to PC, especially in terms of like, once I got used to the controls, I was nailing headshots and at least general body shots pretty darn consistently, even as I'm jumping through the air. Well, kind of. There's kind of an artificial, like, inaccuracy while you're in the air, and if you've looked at my footage of like the strike, or you've ever played Destiny, then you know what I'm talking about. You can have your crosshair on the enemy, but if you're in mid-jump, it's probably not going to hit them unless you're shooting a rocket. Then it doesn't matter. Then that thing is going to die. But yeah, no, PC version felt great. There is the odd kind of complication that we found out while we were at the event, that they might not be releasing Destiny 1 or Destiny 2 on the exact same release date for PC as they are on consoles. Console release date is September 8th. We don't know the release date yet for PC. I'm not freaking out too much about that, because it's not the first time it's happened ever on PC. So it's like, yeah, alright, whatever. I can wait. I'll probably end up playing a little bit of Destiny 1 on the console, or Destiny 2 on the console if Destiny 2 ends up being delayed. But my main console is going to be PC. It's absolutely, you know, playing the game at 60 FPS felt great, especially since the PlayStation 4 version was it was running at 30 FPS. So you could already feel the massive difference that it makes when you're playing at like a super smooth frame rate versus just standard 30 FPS. But besides the actual feel of the PC version, what about the actual gameplay impressions? So, gameplay impressions, what did I do? Well, I had a chance to play the campaign mission, the strike, and a good few matches of PvP. For the campaign mission, it's kind of what I was saying beforehand. I was actually pretty excited to go through it because of the fact that things were a lot more engaging. Even just the general structure of the mission, there was just a lot more stuff going on. The impact of the Cabal landing in their drop pods, while that might be kind of old school Halo, you know, fighting against enemies dropping down from drop pods and just destroying them. It was definitely a more cinematic experience, running through the tower as everything is just exploding, lit on fire, and then eventually boarding a Cabal ship. While the mission felt a little bit short because I was just kind of like blazing through everything and killing all the enemies in like one shot with my hand cannon, and using the Dawnblade Warlock, it was still generally pretty cool, and I'm excited to see, you know, if that's the starting mission of Destiny 2, will most of the missions beyond that be pretty good? Which leads me to the strike, in that the strike was actually also pretty good in and of itself. If you ever played all of the Destiny 1 strikes, and then you looked at the footage of the Destiny 2 strike, while a little bit you might just go, oh, the gameplay is very same to Destiny 1, if you look at the overall design of the strike, you can see that there are differences there, and I think that they're trying to be more... They're trying to make things a little bit more complicated and a little bit more engaging in the level design for things. Like in the last bit of the strike, you go against a boss and it's just a giant minotaur, but the actual boss goes through phases, and the phase puts you in 3 different portions of that particular level. And the first one is just kind of like a standard battle. You have fucking harpies being super annoying and shooting the shit out of you. And then in the second part, you drop down and you're on this platform, and the boss will occasionally do an attack that will light the ground on fire or energize it or something. And you have to jump up in the air and either try and hover or land on specific platforms that are safe from the energy. And it's little things like that that make the game more mechanically engaging. And I enjoy when there are more mechanics to learn and to go, okay, this is what I have to do in order to survive this mission or do maximum damage. And it reminded me very much of the raid when I was playing. I was like, oh, okay, all right, we're getting some kind of like raid-esque mechanics in the middle of our strikes, which is cool because it means you don't have to always be doing the raids just to have, you know, a little bit of complexity in our strikes. And that's great. That's, you know, even besides the boss, running through the field where the Vex and the Cabal are fighting, that was kind of like an epic shot kind of thing. You go into the valley, you go into the little area, and there's just tons and tons of enemies fighting each other. Obviously, there could be like 3 times more, then it would be even more epic, but just, you know, you can see the scale that they're trying to show there as you then push forward and try to deal with the Cabal captains, and eventually go to the drill section, which was hilarious. Trying to avoid the drills, and the drills are hitting the enemies or hitting you or your teammates. That was a good segment. I don't know if the one thing that we don't know a ton about, because we didn't get a chance to patrol, is how many times are we going to go back to that area. There were occasional parts in Destiny 1 where strikes would kind of push you through areas that you went through in the campaign, and I'm hoping that for like that drill bit, I'm hoping that won't happen. But we'll see as time goes on. But yeah, that's kind of my gameplay impressions for the campaign and the strike. It felt great. It's generally the same level of gameplay as Destiny 1. And some people are like, oh, it just looks like Destiny 1. But for me, that's fine because Destiny 1 played amazingly. Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 have incredibly good feeling shooting. It's very responsive. Guns sound awesome. The impact of the enemies getting hit by your guns looks awesome and feels awesome. And so, yeah, no, it's not a problem for me that the general gameplay, the base gameplay is the same for Destiny 1 and 2, but we're getting more complicated things and tiny adjustments, which is what, you know, I think we should expect of a sequel. For the PvP, I did have a chance to play 4 matches on the PC for PvP. One was my appointment. For the people who do not know, we had appointments there because most of us were press. They had fans there as well, which was cool, actually. I didn't find that out towards the end of the day, but apparently they had also flown out people who were just like big fans of Destiny and were parts of the community. But for like press, we had appointments for everything, and we pretty much had one of everything. I had 1 PC campaign, 1 PC strike, 1 PC PvP, and then 1 PS4 PvP and 1 PS4 strike. Unfortunately, there was no capturing or footage recording of the PC version, so that kind of sucked because I didn't know that beforehand, so I didn't get a chance to record the PlayStation 4 campaign. I just didn't have enough time by the time I was like, okay, let's try and maybe work my way over there. The event was ending by the time I actually got footage. But I kicked ass on the PC PvP version, all right? That was great. Every single round, I was in the double digits with kills and had at least a 4 KD or above, and that was great. that was nice. I know I mean, although sometimes it's rough to figure out if you're any good at a press event, because sometimes, yeah, people don't know what the hell's going on. There were a lot of times where, like, I would die, and then my teammates would just run by my body. And it's a game mode where you can revive your teammates, and it shows the big word revive, hold G in order to do it, and they would just not do it, which sucked. But besides that, I kicked ass on PC. I sucked at the PS4 PvP version. I only got one chance at trying it, but in terms of the actual feeling of PvP, they've changed it up a little bit. In Destiny 1, the game modes were definitely a lot bigger until, like, say, the Trials of Osiris. That was like 3v3, but now they're trying to aim for a 4v4 thing and make it a little bit more competitive, which is nice because 4 people, it does always kind of feel like that sweet spot of communication. You can always have 2 people split off in one direction and have the other 2 split off in another direction, and it's that kind of stuff that's like, oh, okay, cool. Or you can have 3 people rush one point while the other one tries to go off to another area and, like, sneak things around. And that's neat. The only crutch would be, you know, the fact that they're still going to be having, like, peer-to-peer servers or peer-to-peer rather than dedicated servers for multiplayer, which can lead to, like, more janky moments. But I think in most situations it'll be fine to still have peer-to-peer. I mean, that's just because I don't really care too much about PvP for Destiny. I didn't play a lot of Destiny 1 PvP, and I'm probably not going to play a lot of Destiny 2 PvP because sometimes when you walk into a room and a hunter just uses their ult and their super and kill like 4 or 5 people in a row, no. that was my general thought in Destiny 1's PvP, and it kind of still translates to Destiny 2's PvP, even though I did have fun. I did like some of the adjustments though. Besides the 4v4 adjustment, I did like that you can actually now see the enemy's loadouts, or rather you can see the enemy's team composition and their charge for supers at the top of the screen. So you can see, oh, they have 2 warlocks and their hunter has a charge, and whoop, their titan just used their charge because their box was yellow but now it's not, and I just saw my teammates die. It was nice to see little things like that. I'm sure there's a lot of also tinier details that I missed. Some stuff that I noticed for, like, the loadout, I don't know if they're still going to be having character levels in Destiny 2. There was nothing showing character levels or even enemy levels in the stuff that we played, and I don't know if that's just because this was the build that they were showing us, or if that's like a direct design decision. They might be legitimately just heading in the direction of purely light level stuff, because that's all I saw. And they did kind of, one nice thing, for one of the things that you could do in Destiny 1 was try and spec your character towards particular stats, intellect, discipline, and stuff like that, so that way you could have a faster melee charge, or a faster grenade charge, or a faster supercharge. And now, instead of just a bar, there are numbers there when you look at your stats screen, so that you can actually see, like, oh, I have 8 in discipline, I have a 1 in intellect, so I can expect that my grenades are gonna be a lot faster, stuff like that. Those are little tiny tweaks that are kind of cool. But I guess that's really it. I played a lot of the PC version, had a really great time on it. The gameplay impressions are that it's Destiny 1, but better in a lot of ways, and some small, some big. And so for me, I'm hyped for Destiny 2. Unfortunately, you know, I'm super biased because, again, I played a lot of Destiny 1, I super enjoyed it, and then there's also the kind of bias I have with Bungie, because they're Bungie, and we enjoyed Halo. Even if it's not the same people, you do have that, like, mental connection. Oh, Bungie made Halo, and Halo's like one of my favorite gaming series. And there's also the fact that, like, you know, they did give me copies of Destiny 1. I bought all of my copies of Destiny 1 and all the DLCs, and then Bungie would give me a free copy, and I was like, okay, I don't know what to do with the code here, but thanks. Although it was cool when I also got the collector's edition for things, and I'm gonna hopefully at some point actually put those Destiny 1, like the golden coins or things like that, on display. But that's pretty much it. That's my thoughts on everything. I'm pretty super excited for Destiny 2. I've seen a lot of criticism on the game from people who are kind of cynical, and they're like, oh, it looks the same as Destiny 1. And those kind of don't make sense to me because, yeah, the sequel to a game that's, you know, only 3 years old is going to look generally pretty similar. We haven't gone to a new console generation, so the only thing that's going to change is the graphics are going to be a tiny bit better. The gameplay is going to be a tiny bit better. And the things that people were bitching about the most in Destiny 1, the lack of a story and the lack of an engaging world, are the things that they already talked about. They're like the first things that they talked about in the gameplay reveal. And I think that's just going to be an unfortunate thing. A lot of cynical people are going to just continue hating it, which is a shame because I think Destiny 2 is a good chance to start anew. Obviously, we're always going to have like the stigma of Destiny 1 releasing in a terrible state, and you know, technically it's still in part of that state. Destiny 1's a lot better now, but they never like did DLC to adjust the main vanilla story. We got better story later on, especially in the Taken King and Rise of Iron, but that didn't fix that the main story of Destiny 1 is garbage. I mean, like, the lore and everything is great, but it just there's nothing to really engage with. Your character barely talks. The ghost pretty much just serves as a door opening tool, and Zavala, Ikora, and Cade 6 pretty much just stand around a table, literally doing nothing but being a vendor in vanilla Destiny 1's experience. But now they're developing into new people, or well, their characters are getting fleshed out a little bit more, which is nice. So I think if you like Destiny 1, you're gonna absolutely love Destiny 2. If you played Destiny 1, you even tried it out with all the DLCs and things like that, and you didn't like it, you're probably still not going to like Destiny 2 too much. And if you're one of those people who are like in the middle ground, where Destiny looks interesting and you haven't tried it out, I say give it a try. You know, you're going to get an open beta for Destiny 2 sometime in the summer. They don't have a date for it yet. We might get it during E3 in terms of like a schedule. I don't think they're going to release the beta during E3, but who knows? We've had quite a few things where like, okay, also the beta is live on the PlayStation 4 right now. That'd be sweet. I'd be up for that. But yeah, no, that's everything. I'm hyped up for Destiny 2, and hopefully I said everything. I've had to redo this like 5 times because I just didn't know if I said everything that I wanted to. But Destiny 2, I'm hyped, and if you like Destiny 1, you're gonna enjoy it. If you didn't like Destiny 1, well, it might still generally be kind of the same, but if you only didn't like Destiny 1 because the story was trash, I think Destiny 2's got you covered, at least in that regard. But we're gonna end off here before I ramble on a little bit too much, because this is already like 33 minutes. Oh gosh. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the future with Destiny 2, where I'm going to be resuming my Warlock duties.